Hey guys, we're at CEDIA 2022 with the one and only Ryan Charpentier with Mad VR. We've seen some really cool stuff here at CEDIA 2022. It's my first year. Glad to hang out with you, brother. We're gonna be talking about Mad VR. What do you want to tell us?
Oh man, it's tough to even talk about it right now because we're coming off of a huge weekend. This line has been ridiculous all weekend. I mean, we've been
3
down.
days.
I feel bad for the other booths that have been here. We've been down in the other booth. It's just been a wild ride. We were a little concerned about things, how they were going to go before this weekend with past CEDIAs, especially coming off the pandemic, but it's been a really good time.
Well, the reality is everybody's excited to be here physically. You know, we've had 2 years of nothing, and so everybody's like, we're coming this year.
Right, I need social and physical interaction.
100%.
Please talk to me. But the Trinnov booth, I mean, everybody, all the partners, Trinnov, Macintosh, Barco, us, Maurizio, I mean, everybody's been phenomenal to work with, and it's been a fantastic experience. But you wanted to talk about a little bit what we talked about at Audio Advice, and go into a little bit of more granular detail, specifically on how we're handling tone mapping, contrast recovery, highlight recovery, and maybe we can go into that a little bit here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to do some demos here. I'm going to zoom in the camera so you can kind of see what we're doing.
That works for me.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to back up the content here real quick because, you know, it's not a Ryan stream if we're not messing things up here right out of the box.
That's right.
But first thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at contrast recovery. So contrast recovery is the preservation of perceived contrast, okay? So tone mapping is natively destructive, right?
Yeah.
Because we're applying compression.
Gotcha.
And when you apply compression, you're compressing the light, well, not compressing the light, but you're compressing things down so that the TV with less light capability is able to render that same content, right? Because if you demand of this TV, or any display really on the residential market, something to showcase, say, what we're showing here is Spears and Munsell.
Right.
If you ask it to do that, what's gonna happen is you're gonna run into tremendous problems. Clipping, colors being misrepresented, I mean, just all kinds of disasterful issues that manifest in unsightly scenes, okay? But things that most people don't really think about or overlook is there's subtle things, right? So one of them being contrast recovery.
Okay.
What contrast recovery is, it's Envy's ability to not really recover, but preserve perceived contrast. And how it does that is it utilizes a dynamically generated histogram curve in order to dynamically apply compression, okay? So what that looks like, or what that histogram looks like, is this. And we'll look at that here in just a second. So there's the histogram, all right? And Envy uses that to dynamically apply the compression. And what that manifests as is this, okay? So you've got a haze that comes across the screen. That haze is the loss of perceived contrast. You're smashing everything together. You lose the lows, you lose the highs, thereby lose a more dynamic image. You're less immersive, okay? So that's one. We're gonna look at that a couple more images, and I'm just gonna turn it on and off here real quick, right? So off,
Right. See
on,
the haze, it gets a little bit clearer, more crisp.
off,
Yeah.
on.
So this
Pay attention right here.
This isn't radical, but we're seeing
No.
It's
It's
visual.
definitely
We're
not
seeing
radical,
that.
but the key there, I'm glad you pointed that out, is that it's not radical. So Envy's tone mapping is, in my opinion, better, right? But when you start layering these things on top of it, like contrast recovery, highlight recovery, they're layers to the entire picture that are just gonna give you an even better experience than what the tone mapping does out of the box by itself. These are interactions with tone mapping, preventing the loss due to compression, but they're not dramatic changes, right? Which is something we don't want. And I'm gonna illustrate that right here. So in this particular image, I find it crucial to demonstrate that we are not blanket applying these settings. And the reason that's important is because it shows to people that we're not overly processing an image. So in this case, I'm gonna turn on contrast recovery, and I'm gonna turn it off, and there is no change,
I didn't see anything, right?
And that's important because it's not needed in this scene. Envy has identified pixel by pixel that this scene or this frame does not need any change. Could there be changes that we can't perceive? Absolutely, but it's not needed to the same level like we saw it on previous frames, and that's really important for people to know. However, this scene needs highlight recovery. And what highlight recovery is it's a preservation of like color. And what I mean by that is, as an example, say you've got a 10,000 nits frame, and you've got colors that exist 100 nits apart. When you compress that down to, say, a display that in this environment was measured at 100 nits, right? 100 nit difference, 10,000 nits, 100 nits, 1 nit when you compress down.
Gotcha.
So that 1 nit to showcase that color, those used to have variants. Now they're virtually the same. And what you see when that happens, if we pay attention right in here, is this. Okay, it turns into milk.
Yeah.
So it's not an overwhelming difference. You may still think, looking back at that,
like
that's a
pretty
great image.
Yeah.
But if you pay attention here, when we turn this back on, it looks like this. And there's a tremendous amount of
We're seeing it
detail,
over on those
all in
waves
here,
too.
all
Yeah,
of
sure.
the waves.
That makes
But
sense.
like I said, with contrast recovery on this frame, now pay attention to the rocks in this zone.
Gotcha.
And as we turn this on and off, so I'm turning this on and off, there's no change.
Yeah, I didn't see anything
So
over here.
Envy
Okay.
identifies pixel by pixel the locations of the image that it needs to apply these changes to,
Gotcha.
and then does it dynamically.
So it's not like just this blanket thing.
No,
we're
absolutely
slapping that on
not.
there.
So people mistake what Envy does, because there's such a drastic difference, as a blanket change to the entire piece of media.
Right.
But in actuality, we're doing it dynamically, pixel by pixel, deciding what needs changed into what capacity,
That's a lot
and
of
then putting
processing.
that into effect. It is a lot of processing, but our algorithms, our processing, our engineer Matthias make it happen, and it manifests itself in one of the best images in the industry.
That's super cool, man, to be able to see it visually, and hopefully we can capture that on film.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing, is being able to see that, but I think we can get it.
That is the hard part, but I think we've got that worked out. You and I were talking beforehand about how to best do that,
Yeah.
and I think it's going to work out fairly well.
Well, guys, you know, we can reach Ryan anytime on my channel. We've got a weekly podcast that we do every Sunday night, 7 p.m. So, Ryan, always a pleasure,
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
You guys about ready to wrap this thing up?
Oh, yes.
It's been a long 3 days, but we've had so much fun, man. We've got a lot of content from CEDIA 2022, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And Ryan, I think we're like 400 away from 100,000 subscribers.
Oh, man. And you know what that means? Yeah, you're super excited about that.
I am. I mean, it doesn't mean a raise or anything. Yeah. But everybody says, you get a raise from YouTube? No.
Do you get a raise?
So
Can you imagine
they say
just
that.
getting the post
Yeah.
and be like, hey, I got a raise?
We get a letter and then we get a silver play. But honestly, it's more of an accomplishment for me.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I've busted my butt for 4 years trying to provide the best content for you guys to enjoy. And it's just.
But isn't there
huge.
something else that's coming along with the 100,000?
Oh, dude, all right, so I'm sleep deprived, totally sleep deprived. I've had about 2.5 hours of sleep every single night. But yeah, so we've got a huge giveaway, Road to 100,000. So if you go to youthmanreviews.com/road to 100K, yeah. I was like,
Thought I'd
what?
help you with that segue.
I appreciate that. Oh man, I'm telling you, I'm sleep deprived, but we're having so much fun. Seriously, I love doing this. I love networking with these guys. I love hearing these demos. This is a sick demo. I've got a video on that. That I posted literally, we came the day before CEDIA.
Yep.
Had the demo, had a video for you guys that night. So you heard a little bit from Richard about what MadVR does, and just all these incredible. This is sweet. And like you said, Ryan, there's still. I'm looking the whole time we've been doing this video. There's probably
Like
40
you can
people.
see people emptying out from CEDIA.
Yeah.
And the room is still down the stairs.
Yeah, and
Or
it's-
the line is still down the
and
stairs.
it's still right here. So you guys are doing an incredible job. Keep doing what you're doing, and I think we might even get one into the Youth Man room and do some videos.
I think it's
that-
coming.
Maybe.
I think it's coming.
That'd be fun, dude. So we'll make some content for you guys. So
Yeah,
Ryan, appreciate
absolutely.
it. Hope you guys have an incredible week. We'll catch you in the next video.